You ever notice how you're halfway through a conversation and suddenly realize you're 5 steps ahead of everyone else? They're still reacting to point A, and you're already wrestling with point F, G, and the possible collapse of civilization if nobody fixes H. So you smile, you nod, you slow yourself down again. And in that moment, you wonder, is something wrong with me? Or am I just wired differently? Maybe you've been told you're too intense, too much, or my personal favorite, why do you think so deeply about everything? As if you can just flip a switch and become shallow on command. If any of that feels uncomfortably familiar, stay with me. Because high intelligence isn't just about being smart, it comes with invisible weight, quiet struggles, psychological trade offs no one warned you about. And by the end of this, you might finally understand why your mind feels like both a gift and a burden. Let's start with the first pattern, the one that usually shows up early, sometimes before you even have a language for it. Picture this: you're in a classroom, a meeting, or scrolling online. Everyone seems content with simple explanations, quick answers, clean conclusions. But your brain, it's poking holes, asking follow ups, zooming out for context, zooming back in for nuance. Not because you want to be difficult, but because the surface answer feels incomplete, almost dishonest. Highly intelligent people often struggle with chronic dissatisfaction. Not the dramatic, nothing is good enough kind, but a quiet, persistent sense that reality could be sharper, smarter, more thoughtful. Psychologically, this comes from heightened pattern recognition. When your brain is trained to see inconsistencies, inefficiencies, and unrealized potential, you don't get the luxury of passive acceptance. You notice what's missing, what's flawed, what could have been done better. And here's the cost: this awareness can quietly drain joy. You're not unhappy because life is terrible. You're unhappy because you can imagine 10 better versions of it, and your mind refuses to stop comparing. Then there's the loneliness piece. And no, not the obvious, I have no friends kind. This one is quieter, heavier. You can be surrounded by people and still feel oddly separate. Conversations loop around safe topics, stories repeat, opinions stay predictable. And when you try to introduce something deeper, a psychological insight, a philosophical angle, a genuine curiosity, it lands with polite nods and quick subject changes. Highly intelligent minds often crave depth the way others crave comfort. But depth can feel threatening to people who rely on simplicity to feel secure. From a psychological standpoint, intelligence increases abstraction, the ability to think beyond the immediate, the concrete, the obvious. But abstraction creates distance. It's hard to feel fully seen when your inner world operates on a different frequency. So you learn to edit yourself, to compress thoughts that took hours into sentences that won't derail the mood. And that's when loneliness grows. Not from lack of people, but from lack of recognition. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone you know. But once you experience that kind of loneliness, you don't forget it. You just learn to live around it. Another struggle shows up when decisions enter the room. You're asked a simple question: what do you want? And your mind fractures into branches: pros, cons, long term consequences, ethical angles, emotional fallout, paths nobody else even noticed. Highly intelligent people often struggle with overthinking to the point of paralysis. This isn't indecision, it's overcalculation. Your brain refuses to commit because it understands that every choice reshapes identity and closes doors forever. Psychologically, intelligence amplifies future simulation. You don't just choose, you preview multiple lives at once, so decisions feel heavy, even small ones. And the irony? The smarter the mind, the harder it can be to act confidently, because certainty feels intellectually dishonest when you can see all the uncertainty underneath. Then comes a struggle people rarely associate with intelligence: emotional intensity. Highly intelligent individuals often feel more, not less. Emotions arrive layered and simultaneous: compassion mixed with irritation, hope tangled with skepticism, love infused with existential awareness. This happens because emotional complexity scales with cognitive complexity. When your mind can hold contradictions, your heart feels them too. You don't just feel sad. You analyze the sadness, trace its origins, question its meaning, then feel sad about feeling sad. Others might say, you think too much. But what they don't see is that your emotional depth isn't optional, it's inseparable from how your mind works. Another pattern emerges in how the world responds to you. You might be labeled intimidating even when you're gentle, arrogant even when you're unsure, cold even when you care deeply. Highly intelligent people are often misunderstood because their communication style prioritizes precision over performance, truth over social smoothing. Psychologically, this creates a feedback loop. You're misread, you retreat, people sense distance, you feel unseen. Eventually, you start wondering if it's safer to shrink yourself than to keep explaining. That's not weakness, that's adaptation. Then there's masking. Many highly intelligent people learn early how to appear simpler, slower, less intense, just to fit in. You downplay insights. You pretend not to notice things. You laugh at jokes you already analyzed 3 layers deep. Masking keeps you socially safe, but it's exhausting. Over time, it can lead to burnout, identity confusion, and the quiet fear that no one actually knows the real you. There's also the pressure, often unspoken, to live up to your intelligence. When people know you're smart, expectations rise. You're supposed to have answers, direction, potential. And when you struggle, doubt, or feel lost, it feels like you're failing twice, once as a person and once as the smart one. That pressure can turn inward, creating chronic self criticism and the sense that rest must be earned, not needed. And finally, there's the existential layer. Highly intelligent minds tend to confront meaning earlier and more deeply. Questions about purpose, mortality, identity, and time don't wait for midlife crises. They show up during late nights, long walks, and moments that were supposed to feel simple. When you see systems clearly, you also see how fragile they are. When you understand patterns, you understand impermanence. It's not that you're pessimistic, it's that you're aware. And awareness changes how you love, how you plan, how you tolerate shallow answers, and how you sit alone with your thoughts. So, where does that leave you? If parts of this felt uncomfortably accurate, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your mind operates on a different depth setting. Intelligence isn't just an advantage, it's a sensitivity, a responsibility, a constant negotiation between insight and overload. The real challenge isn't becoming less intelligent, it's learning how to live well with your intelligence, how to protect joy without sacrificing truth, how to connect without shrinking, how to rest your mind without betraying it. So I'll leave you with this. Which of these struggles felt closest to home? Which patterns do you recognize in yourself or in someone you care about? And if you want more conversations like this, the kind that don't talk down, don't oversimplify, and don't pretend depth is a flaw, stay here. You're not alone in this.